So this is a first time for us. This is a update on your topic. So what I did was while people were signing up for the IW, I continued to take the mailing list and pester you with a survey. Now, since it was SurveyMonkey, I apologize if some of you didn't get it. I know that SurveyMonkey is heavily spam-proofed by companies, so my apologies. Certainly, I will give you my email address, and you could always send me a question if you have it. But the idea was to try to create a situation in where I'm answering the majority of your questions all at once. So it's a bit of an experiment. So I'm going to go over the survey summary, the top questions and the responses, and then take questions from you real time. First, the survey summary. I had 323 people that I surveyed. Then about 28% responded, which I don't think is too bad for a survey. Usually above 20% is nice to have. The number of respondents, actually, I gave them an opportunity to leave their email address if they wanted a specific question answered. So I had 32 that participated in that. So 32 out of the 92 also wanted a direct answer. By the way, if you didn't have an answer from me yet, I apologize. I'm still working on those 32 email responses. I'm about half done. 3 questions really were a very simple survey. The first one was multiple choice, and then I asked, what is your specific question, and then an option to leave their email. Here are the results. Overwhelmingly, most people are highly interested in knowing more about the value of INCOSE and the value of systems engineering. 41% of the respondents fell into that category. The next 2 categories were working group and INCOSE initiatives, and also the SE education and professional development. Actually, I'm surprised that there was such a big, overwhelming majority, but to be honest, on the other hand, that made the survey very easy to analyze. So the top questions. SE education and professional development, about 14% responded on that. Here are some example questions. What kind of training is available? Does SE have enough knowledge in the basis of systems science? Which I appreciate that question. If you were here for the town hall yesterday, hopefully we've answered that question. And what mechanisms are in place to propagate SE in schools and colleges? Again, happy to have that question, and hopefully it was answered well enough yesterday. If you missed yesterday's town hall, we've recorded them on video, and we're planning on putting them on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch those. So what are the initial responses? I'll take a crack at this, and of course, this isn't going to be perfect, but we have many resources that can help your journey. Things like webinars, video presentations, journals, magazines, white papers. We have guidelines, and we have really the definitive certification for systems engineering. So we are working on other ideas to actually bring you more direct professional development. We currently don't do training per se as a society. We have many plans in place to actually do that. I'm excited by the prospects. Be on the lookout for it in the next year to come. Hopefully you'll see some coming out. Also, someone had mentioned that sometimes systems engineering comes across as a discipline that's just about process, and I can assure you that it's also about skills, it's also about knowledge, system science. There are many other aspects to systems engineering besides process. If you want more information about that, I can help lead you towards those different areas of thinking and assure you that it is not just about process. So another point I want to make here is that the idea of infusing systems engineering into our education is, has some good resources available. There's the Gracie for graduate curriculum. There's also work going on now to try to help give guidance on getting more systems thinking and systems engineering into undergraduate work. So we, in fact, recently in the last year or two, have made some influence into the accreditation boards to try to get more systems topics into the curricula of our educational system. So I'm proud of the work that the Academic Council and the Academic Matters are doing, and slowly but surely we are working our way into engineering programs at large. Next up at 17% is working groups and INCOSE initiatives. Here's some example questions. I won't read them all, but you know, how do the working groups and initiatives impact the INCOSE vision, mission, and objectives? Good question. Let's see, how do we focus? And why isn't there anything on integration, verification, and validation? And how do we interact better? All great questions. But you know, I need to step back a little bit and put this into perspective. As you know, we're an all-volunteer organization, and our working groups are created from grassroots efforts. More than a few people get together on the same interests. They realize that there isn't already a working group, and they ask us, can we form a working group? And more often than not, we say, absolutely. Work on the charter, write it down, we'll review it, and make sure you're ready to start. And that's how a working group starts. So we don't force working groups to be created or start them. Instead, we encourage them to be created from the ground up. There is a difference between that and initiatives. Generally, initiatives are the opposite. It's where we look at our vision, our mission, our objectives, and we say, are there working groups already handling this? And if not, after doing that gap analysis, we'll create an initiative where someone is passionate about that topic, and we ask them to lead a project and work on that topic. So there is a good alignment, I would say, with our INCOSE vision and mission, but there's more than that. There's the working groups that have been growing from the grass up. The 5-year objectives, for instance, have 2 initiatives that Tech Ops in my organization are actually responsible for, and one of them is called Impactful Products, and the other one is called the Transformation of Systems Engineering into a Model-Based Discipline. Hopefully you've heard about at least one of them, the last one, but the other one is more of a way to try to take advantage of all the work that the working groups do and make it more available to the engineering community at large. So let's see. We have, I wanted to mention this too. Along those lines, we have the idea of trying to practice what we preach. We're a systems engineering organization. We have a lot of volunteers that are working on products or services. And what we're trying to do now is actually apply systems engineering to that work. It's very tempting, of course, to skip over things and make a product and then worry about the plan. But the very first thing that we're working on is switching those 2 things around. So try to put a little planning up front, then we can coordinate activities a little better and plan for success. Lastly, but certainly not least, we have the value of systems engineering and the value of INCOSE. This is something that over the years I've been part of INCOSE, there's been many people working on this. What I realized was the value actually has many different perceptions. So what might be valuable about INCOSE for me, or systems engineering for me, might be different than you, or you. And it's hard to find one value statement that really resonates well with everybody. One of the things I did recently is I went out to our Connect site and I searched for anything related to value. And then kind of had an intern help me with that because it was grueling, but found about 20 or so interesting perspectives on the value of system engineering and the value of INCOSE. And all of them are quite different. And I made that available to all of you. If you go to the Connect site, if you're a member, you have access to the Connect site. Go to the Connect Technical Data Value of SE and INCOSE, and what you'll find there is something very simple, a spreadsheet with links in it. And if you're interested, go through those. Perhaps you'll find in there, of those 20 or so presentations and statements, something in there that resonates with you. I hope so. But if not, let me know. Because I think we can probably help you come up with a value proposition for your management that suits them well if we work on it together. Also, if you have such a value proposition already that you found is successful, I ask that you share it with us so that we can share it with the rest of us. So again, my view is I'd love to offer this list of values to you, but I believe that because they're so individualized, they may or may not suit your needs exactly. Again, if you have already a proposition, please share it with us. You could either leave it in the folder or send it to me. I want to mention that not only that, but we have other really fantastic things that have been publicized already. We have lots of members that have worked on this for years, in fact. If you're aware of Eric Honor's work on the return on investment, Joe Elm also worked on that as well. It's in the public domain. You can search that and find some really good work on that. Also, the SE Handbook obviously has case studies. There are case studies also in CBOC. And if you look in your working groups, you may find case studies there too. I found a few of those. The value of systems engineering, as I mentioned before, I've got it all over the place, but one of the last things I'd like to mention is that, you know, what worked for me really was trying not to apply the whole SE Handbook to my organization at once. I felt like that would scare them away. I come from healthcare where systems engineering is still being sold on a daily basis as being valuable. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job. So what I did was I did a gap analysis and picked the thing that we were the worst at first, applied tailored systems engineering to that, and once that was sustainable, moved on to the next thing. And it's a long journey. After 16 years at this particular company, I think we're in much better shape. And we actually have a department of systems engineering finally. So, and I was happy to find out that that spread globally, not due to me, but I went to a Roche conference where I'm from and found out there were about 300 or so people doing systems engineering now, where I could tell you that when I was first hired, I was the first system engineer. So I consider that a success, but a long success. And so my advice to you, if you're in the same situation, try not to beat people over the head with the SE Handbook, but rather pick your battles wisely and use some soft skills. Soft skills for systems engineering is truly important. There are actually some publications from previous symposia on that, and they're really a good read, so I recommend those as well. So now is the time to take some questions from the audience, if there are any. I'd be happy to discuss more questions that are burning in your mind about INCOSE or systems engineering. And if I can't answer it, I'll take the action to find those answers. Thank you very much.